Look, if history is a determiner of future success, orange is not a bad word. I mean, look what happened to Apple. So I think you guys are on the, on the right track. So let me start by welcoming you all and reading this long protocol list. I'd like to thank Professor Anna Moteti for that wonderful introduction. Members of the University Council, the Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Johannesburg, Prof. Aaron Rensburg, the Deputy Vice Chancellors and Registrar, Executive Deans and Directors, members of Senate and the Academic of Johannesburg University, professional and support staff, the alumni, members of the Student Advisory Council, and finally my distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm really, really thrilled to be here today. Several years ago I stood here, and I think Professor Anna has now revealed my age, because she went on and on and on with this long CV. So it was 15 years ago that I stood here, and I was really keen to get involved in this institution and understand what it was about. And like Charity, I didn't have an inkling or clue what lay ahead. And she said, all you need is a distinction of work. And that distinction of work I'll speak about, called the 10,000 hours. That little bit extra is the 10,000 hours that I think enables you to be, the oranges of the day. So in this world, it said that you can either select to be a hammer or an anvil. And what that really means is that you can decide. You can be a molder of societal views, or you can be the molded. Putting it differently, in essence, what it means is that you can decide to be the thermometer, taking the temperature, recording the temperature, registering the temperature. Or you can decide to be the thermostat that really, really transforms and engages with societal dialogue. I think you've already made the decision. I think that's why you're here. So I think it comes as no surprise that you stand out, you're the top 1%, you're the achievers of this institution. But what will really differentiate you is not necessarily your intellect. It's your compassion. And what do I mean by compassion? I think we throw around words like compassion and love and emotional intelligence willy-nilly. What does it mean to be a compassionate human being, a compassionate leader? Well, we're all told that the path to enlightenment is not single-dimensional, but we're asked to take the path that really engages our hearts. And really that's what I'm here to talk about, because the path to enlightenment comes in different forms. And I think that there's a lot of illusion and a lot of fact. And today I want to separate the illusion, the fiction, from the fact. Because I think that really it will not be the brick that will get you through. You already have the brick. You already have the academic gravitas to make it through. It is the mortar, how you navigate this institution, how you engage with others, what you do on a day-to-day basis, how you transcend the contraction that you are going to be faced with, how you transcend your own limitations. That, for me, is really important about becoming and really manifesting being this orange achiever. So I think what you've done is you've decided upon a path of significance. You've decided upon not just being a typical A student. You've decided to be atypical, which is why you're sitting here. But what does that really, really mean, and what does it entail? I think there are markers, and I really want to focus on the 3 markers that for me make the most sense and that for me has helped me on my journey. The first marker, and I think probably the most important, is knowing who it is that you are. I'm not really interested that you know that you've got brown, blonde hair, or that you've got, slightly lighter pigmentation than I have, that some of you are slightly thinner. Maybe I should go back and stand here. Thinner than I am, or necessarily more intelligent than I am. I'm not really interested in the material form, the things that are external, the things that we can identify to say, this is who you are. Because all of those things, and we live in this rich South Africa, all of those things, the height, your color of your skin, your intellect, your ability to articulate or your ability to not articulate, have been used as a form of separation. And for me, the fact is this, that you are different. You are different. I mean, I can't pretend I'm a size 32 and I'm a size 38. It doesn't work that way. You are different. But our differences are markers to be transcended, to be engaged, not to be used as a form of separation. We are different, and that is a fact. the thing that makes us different, the meaning we ascribe to it, will determine your consciousization. So if difference is going to make you feel uncomfortable, you're not in the right place. You're going to be uncomfortable. If you cannot honestly interrogate difference without making it separate, you're in the wrong hole. You have to be able to look at yourself and everything that's different about yourself as an opportunity to transcend it. Where there is contraction, you need to infuse compassion. That makes you significant. That makes it worthwhile. We can argue for time immemorial about our differences. Our differences are engaging. They are the spice of our lives. They are not there by accident. But what will make life worthwhile for you is, how do I engage with this difficult personality that is different from me, that doesn't speak the same language to me, that doesn't come from the same socialization? How do I use this opportunity when all I really want to do is punch somebody in the face, to ask myself, what is the thing that I can do right now to transcend this immediate contraction? And that has a lot to do with your own locus of control. Can you keep your eye on the prize? Can you be focused? Which leads me to my next point, focus. Focus is very simple. I mean, I'm sure there are much more academic terms that we can speak about. But for me, focus is about really manifesting thought into form. Asking yourself, what is the thing that's going to bring me the most joy? How can I add to the society? And getting to the end game. It's really, how do you take your thinking out of your head with your wonderful ideas and really put as much energy as to manifesting that dream into form? That's really what focus is. I mean, we've seen from Charity that for her, as being a top achiever, she had a lot of fear and unknowns. And she had the focus to understand that for this little slice of time, I'm going to put myself in the pressure cooker. I'm going to see if I can manifest, this reality. And that's really what focus is. And lastly is grit. Now, grit, everybody speaks about grit as your ability to be resilient, your ability to, progress and really persevere. But for me, grit is really that unspoken nuance that brings you to the party. You've got this institution, you've got all the accolades of being here, you've got the passport. But how do you maneuver yourself through all these different illusions, through this different contraction? How do you become not only an academic student, but a fully fledged, educator and leader of society? And it's that mortar that I talk about. That's the grit that will help you through. And I talk about this grit, and I think most of you are thinking, oh, this is so, aspirational, but how do you really manifest that into form? Well, not too long ago, I stood here as a fresh-faced young girl from Kimberley, with very little population, coming from a Xhosa family, in a Tswana environment, in an English school, and in an Afrikaans province. You can't get more South African than that. And I came here at the time when it was called the Rand Afrikaans Universiteit. And I came here because all my friends were going to UCT, and we were going to Rhodes, and I wanted to be independent. And really, I had this idea that, Johannesburg is going to be this oasis of wealth and progress and leadership. At the time, it was the year 2000. And I came here and I was reasonably disappointed. I was one of those girls that Charity speaks about, that we stayed outside of res, first year staying outside of res. And it looked a bit different, there wasn't orange blood flowing then, it was green blood. And the dynamics were a bit different. And there were a lot of illusions. Illusion number one was that a lot of the students here did not look like I did. They were white, they were male, they were Afrikaans. Illusion number two is that most of them were living in res, in very well-established, formations. And I was living outside in something that wasn't called Lebone then. And I had to transcend that. Illusion number three is that I was female, and at the time, a lot of the SRC presidents were male. And I made a decision that I no longer wanted to live outside. I no longer wanted to care what language I speak, whether I stand as an independent or as an affiliation. I just made that decision. And I really decided to engage this institution. When you are willing to put your colors to the mast and engage the institution that you're in, you're able to move forward. You're able to really transcend those contractions. And I walked up to the rector's office. At the time it was, I think, Professor van der Walt. And I said, this can't be just, We're living out here and there's young girls, it's not right. And he said, Mevrou, gaan na die SR kantoor toe. And there, I marched to the SRC office, and 3 years later, became the very SRC president of that institution. There were a lot of challenges. But challenges are just that. they're an opportunity for you to transcend them. If you can separate yourself from the popular rhetoric and the politics, and if you can really have a fixed vision of what it is you're supposed to do and how are you supposed to do it, you will really fulfill this illusion of being an achiever. You will really transcend that illusion. South Africa is a fertile ground for you to take that intelligence and you to create something fantastic with it. I mean, it's really, we're in the 21st century. We've gone to the moon a couple of times, but we have not figured out how to have a scalable, poverty alleviation program for Africa. That's your job. That's why you're here. We're not looking for you to compete on things that have already been achieved, going to the moon and back. We're looking for you to look for solutions in this very country. How do we manifest the social cohesion that we speak about, but we just can't get the mark on? How do we deal with the power outages day-on-day basis without losing our cool, without having a fit in traffic? That is going to be that grit. The intelligence is there, but the ability to manifest that intelligence into something meaningful, into something sustainable, that is your job. That is your role. So when you come here with a single-minded vision of just being an academic, that's great too. That will make you popular. That will really make you an achiever. But will it be significant? And you right now have that opportunity. You are not too small. You are actually what we need. Fresh-faced, smart people who are focused about changing the complexion of this country with solutions that really transcend our limitations. So how do we do this? It's all good and well to say that we should do this. How do we do that? And this is the challenge. I'm not that old that I can't connect that you are probably, 17, 18, and some of you that took a bit longer, 19. You have to be in the business of productive decision-making. Now, what is productive decision-making? It's recognizing that every single, not one, every single opportunity you're given here is yours for the taking. I did not know that I would leave Rao as the SRC president. I did not know the significance of it until Chris Barron phoned from the Sunday Times to say, can I interview you? That Sunday Times interview led to Procter & Gamble recognizing me, phoning me up and saying, do you want a job with me? After being at Procter & Gamble, it set my whole path in my career, taking every single opportunity that you have. That is productive decision making. Now, I'm not saying don't have fun. I know Charity is going to chastise me when I tell her that, after the first semester, read the temperature, go out a bit, meet people, interact, have fun, engage with being young in this country. But don't take for granted the opportunity that you have right now. And that is an opportunity that a lot of us talk about. Some people even write about. But you have the means to actually make it happen. You have the wherewithal to really manifest the ideas that you have. We are in a culture now where technopreneurship is the way to go. You are going to invent the thing that's going to make me stop speaking on this mic and maybe become a hologram these days. But ask yourself, that's great. That's a high-income growth business. But is it meaningful for our country? Is it meaningful for my context right now? And I'm really imploring you to deal with the unromantic ideas of handling the issues that are not romantic, like poverty alleviation, like water shortages. Those are the things that we want solutions for. Find an innovation and create it. And really, I want to end off by saying that Malcolm Gladwell speaks about 10,000 hours. And in this 10,000 hours, he got a book called An Outlier. And I guess I'm speaking to the converted because you are the outliers. And in this book called The Outliers, he speaks about 10,000 hours being the lucky number of becoming an expert or a master or a leader in your field. If we are to assume that this is the beginning of your 10,000 hours, if we are to assume that this is where you start, you're going to be spending about 3,000, 4,000, and maybe if you're going to a master's level, 5,000 hours cultivating that mastery right here. You have the resources, you have the opportunity, you have the ability to do that. So please be aware that those 5,000 hours that you spend here are going to be 80% of what you need to make it out there. The next 6,000 hours are really about what you do with it. It's no point being a cum laude student, getting the degree, getting the A's, becoming the significant academic, if you can't translate that learning into something practical and meaningful for your immediate context. So I really want to say to you, you are beginning your first hour of this long 10-year journey. You're going to be a master of something. Choose that something wisely. Make it meaningful. And the only way that you can do it is there are no hard and fast rules. You are going to fail. You're going to cry, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to fight with your syndicate groups, you're going to want to be the best and not be the best, you're going to come second. But the only thing that differentiates you is courage. Have the courage of that conviction, the courage of that focus. And in closing, Anais Nin tells us that your life expands and contracts in direct proportion to your courage. So I implore you, be courageous. Thank you.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.